right. Good morning, everybody. Hey, everybody showing up. And I got to tell you, today I went to bed last night and I was just so fired up, man. All these stories are in my head. I'm so excited. And Patty Ann, in your comment, you just totally summed it up for me, right? We're just doing this as a community, and I'm just seeing people make progress. Many of you are just sending me personal emails, direct messages about, hey, here's that one little teeny small thing that I did. Here is that goal that I've actually said, you know what, I'm going to figure out a plan to start moving toward that. Who do I need to talk to? How do I get help? What does it look like? I got to tell you, it's just so exciting. Good morning. We've got Randy and Eric and Luke. Randy, great to see you. Randy, I got to tell you, folks, you talk about some of those men in your life, women in your life, but men, Randy, when I was transitioning into coaching, Randy, I got to tell you, I don't think anybody was more encouraging. And I've often said, you know, you got to find those people that believe in you before you believe, so you can believe in yourself more. And you saw in me what I could do. And I got to tell you, way back when, that encouragement was just, honestly, buddy, what I needed to just keep taking the next step forward. And out of that, we've just kept moving forward, and look where we're at today. You know, just things are happening. And so today's going to be a lot of fun. We got a couple special things in store for everybody. And I so appreciate, there's been so much incredible engagement, people reaching out and posting videos. And my goodness, some of you folks just shared some powerful stuff. Brad, if you're on, what Brad shared about just what happened. If you guys haven't heard his story about the orange soda, wow. Go back and just look in the comments and just listen to what Brad had to share. And some of you guys have had to overcome things that make what some of the things in my life just absolutely pale in comparison. And it just, man, you guys inspire me. So good stuff. Yes. Good morning. Let's see. I want to make sure it looks like, hey, Bri Dog. Good to see you here, buddy. And thanks for all your help last night, by the way. Okay, so we're going to do something. We're going to give away some books. We also have something else to give away today. So the cool thing is every day I get to add more names to this because everybody's just getting so engaged. Morning, Rick. So let's see here. I'm going to pull, I guess I should mix them up, right? Instead of just grabbing the one on the top. I have no idea who I'm grabbing here. And this is going to be, I'm going to sign a book and send it to you. So email me, Rick Everton. Boom. Love it, buddy. So I'm going to sign some books and get them in the mail to you. And here's something else I wanted to do. I'm like, hey, what else would be fun to give away? And I'm like, Starbucks. I'm like, and a friend of mine's like, dude, I'm so over Starbucks. But how about this? I'm going to give you away a $30 gift card to Amazon. And I think you can do something really fun with that. Tom, good to be with you. It took me 4 days to catch up. Woo! Good job, man. Yeah, I'd love to connect. Now we're going to give a $30 gift card. I have a suggestion for a great purchase that you could buy with $30. And that would be 2 copies of my book from Amazon. But, you know, no agenda here. Just telling you. Okay. Todd McPherson. So, Todd, shoot me an email. And I'm sure there's a way to get that to you, text you some version of that, and I'll just bang that over to you. So $30 gift card to Todd and some books heading out to Rick. You'll pass them out. Awesome, buddy. And thank you very much. Rick put a post out today just on his general Facebook page just talking about the book, and I really appreciated that. Today, we're really kind of in the third area of the book. Remember, we've talked about the why purpose is important. Then we talked about True North and everything around True North and identity yesterday, which was interesting because that's one of my favorite areas. And just some of the feedback from everybody, it's an area I think that maybe a lot of us have not worked in because it seemed like that was a challenge for some folks. But I think if you look at what we talked about yesterday and honestly just break it down into small steps. Here, I'll just put this up here. Thank you, Rick. He's going to pass those books out. But if you break those down into small steps, then all of a sudden that path forward, remember, and this has become my motto, action begets clarity. We might not have that clarity on what to do, how to do it. But if we can get clear on who we are and our why, and we start taking action, and guess what? You might go down a totally wrong road. And that's okay. As I've built this business, I've gone down roads into doing things for my offerings, for my clients, online courses, certain kind of speaking that I just realized, man, that's just not where I want to go. And I invested a lot of time and money into those things. But how would I even know that that was a path that really wasn't a good fit until I walked down it a little bit? What I did know, though, is every step I took, I learned more about myself, about what I was good at, what I liked, where I didn't feel like I was doing my best work. So it was really powerful. Okay. Yeah. And so good job, Todd, TODD. All right. All right. I didn't write that. Okay. So we're going to keep rocking through this. All right, Rick. Yeah. Thank you. I want to share a story with you. And because this talks about the third area that we're in today, and that is present position. And maybe you guys have ever felt this way, right? I've come so far, but I have so far to go. Anybody ever felt like that? Okay, so let me pull this up. Back in the Navy, if any of you guys, I don't know if we have any of my old fighter bubbas here, okay? But there was, this was my view during the day coming back to the ship. Now imagine you're circling over this thing at 1,000 feet and you're waiting. You can actually see all those airplanes on the back end there. They are blocking the landing area. What happens is, and you can see, I don't know if you can see my mouse here, but there's an airplane with a big disc on the top. That's an E-2 Hawkeye. It's a radar plane. It's being launched off the catapult. And in the front, there's an F-14 about to be launched off the catapult. So we come back to the ship as they're launching all the planes, and that back end of the deck slowly clears off, and then we have what is called a ready deck. Now, when we have a ready deck, what happens is we're all circling above the aircraft carrier, and we're jockeying for a position to come in down and come in straight over the back of the aircraft. And typically what we do is we come in, this is what I was taught, at 325 miles an hour. And right at the front of the ship, the bow, the flat end of the front, that's when we do a brake turn. And we use that. We pull about 6 G's, and we use that to slow the airplane down and come back around and land. We put down our gears and our flaps and our tail hook. Now, there was something that was known as the triple nickel. And man, talk about a varsity move. There was very few people that could do this. Instead of coming in to the ship at 325 knots, you come into the ship at 500 plus knots. And we normally are at 600 feet. These guys would come in at 500 feet, so 100 foot lower. It means you have less room to work with, okay? And what they would do is they'd come in at full afterburner, and at the back of the ship, they would go into their brake turn, and the people, the flight crew on the deck love this because the airplane just roaring overhead, and man, they are scrambling. Their airplane is barely stable and slowed down as they're coming in to catch wire. And there was a guy in our squadron, and I write about it in the book. His call sign, Dave Spangler. I actually went because I'd heard about this. I was there when it happened. I thought my memory might be fuzzy. I actually called him when I wrote the book to interview him on this. Okay. Here's what happened. He's coming in to do the triple nickel. He was known for this. And he comes in over the ship and goes into this brake turn, afterburners flaring, and all of a sudden his airplane flips upside down, and at like 400 or 500 miles an hour, he is heading straight past the aircraft carrier down into the water. And the radio erupts. Freelancer 207, eject, 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 eject. Because if he got upside down, and this happened to another one of my friends, and you eject upside down at that altitude, you're just going to get slammed into the water by the ejection seat. You got to eject before you're past 90 degrees. And he was already there. He gets on the intercom and tells the guy in his back seat, don't touch anything. I got this, man. I got this. I got this. Now, here's what he had done. He had taken his craft of flying the F-14 to such an extreme. We had hundreds I wish I had a picture of the inside the cockpit. Hundreds of circuit breakers. There was 7 that we had to memorize as part of our emergency procedures. They're immediate action items. If this happens, before I even pull out a checklist, I'm going to, let's say, pull this circuit breaker if I have an engine fire, and then do, these next 4 steps. There were certain things that we had to have memorized and we were tested on. He memorized every circuit breaker. What happened is he went into the brake, flipped that thing over, and the right or the left spoiler uncommanded popped into the air, which is commanding a turn. We had something called the stability augmentation system. It's called SAS. But the SAS has 3 circuit breakers, and it's not on any checklist anywhere. But because he memorized it, flying this airplane 400 miles an hour, facing toward the water, he reached down next to his knee and pulled all 3 circuit breakers because he had them memorized. He was able to get the wings back underneath him. And what he told me is he's now 30 degrees nose down, 400 knots, and he's less than 100 feet in the water. I'm telling you right now, physically, the law of physics, unrecoverable. That's when he realized that he just bought the farm. He did one thing. He said, Lord, only you. That's all he said. Lord, only you. And the airplane stopped. It was like it was grabbed in the air, and it was dropping at over 2,000 feet per minute, and the vertical speed indicator went to 0. And then, because he had selected because he'd taken it out of afterburners when this happened, he'd selected the afterburners, and as soon as the afterburners were fully engaged, he said it almost felt like it was not only let go, but tossed in the air. And he climbed back up, folks, and landed. And he's telling this story in the ready room afterwards to all of us. We're like, oh my goodness. But here's what I realized then. I'm like, you know what? I have worked hard as a pilot. But you know what? If that had happened to me, I probably would have perished. I don't think I would. I know just where I was, my skill, my mindset, everything in that moment. I don't know if I would have made it. And that challenged me to do more and be better. And I actually asked Dave, what did you do? And he shared with me everything that he's done at his. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm willing to do that. I mean, lots of hours. But it's amazing. We can see things, talk about watching God move. That wouldn't have been able to happen, though, had Dave not prepared himself in that moment. Possibly. Okay, but man, did that challenge me. All right. So, yeah, so you read that in the book, Lene. That's right, man. It was crazy. And yeah, so there is not a lot of landing space on that jet. When we touch down, that tail hook has to be plus or minus 10 feet of center line. And the distance between wires is 25 feet. So think about it. Coming in at 150 knots, we got to put our tail hook in an area of the deck that's 75 feet long and 20 feet wide, coming in at 150 miles an hour. Okay. So here's what we're going to talk about today. And I think this is exciting. And that is, what is our present position? Somebody said, failing to, this is Patty, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. That's awesome, Patty. Just in public speaking, any of you guys do public speaking, the more that I rehearse and practice and I'm prepared, that I got to tell you, the more relaxed and at ease that I show up in the moment. Okay. So now here's what we're going to talk about today. And that's this present position. Now think about this. I love this quote from Dale Carnegie. If we are not in the process of becoming that person that we want to be, remember, we've talked a lot about who's that person in the mirror and who's that best version of ourselves, right? Then we are automatically engaged in becoming that person we don't want to be. Now, think about, my story, right? And Chris, you talked about this in the video comments that you left. If I'm on an airplane and my navigation is off, right? Well, as a matter of fact, here's something else. I hadn't forgot. I hadn't remembered this in a while. I'm flying in Iraq, and our inertial navigation system died. And we're flying along, trying to find out where the carrier is. Me and my backseater, a guy named Spike, Greg Hood, he might even be on here. And there's a little teeny island in the middle of the Persian Gulf called Farsi Island. It's literally a patch of sand, but it is Iranian territory, and around it is Iranian airspace. It is a no-fly zone. Don't go there. Don't go near. Well, guess what? We didn't know where we were, and I flew straight through it. And all of a sudden, the Iranian Air Force launched fighters out of Bandar Abbas Air Force Base straight at us, coming toward the carrier. I mean, this wasn't my best day because this actually went up to like Secretary of State level from Iran, back down through the battle group to me and Spike. But think about it, man. If you don't know where you're at, you can get in trouble. And so I knew that there were some things that I had to work on for myself. All right. Now here's so what we're going to talk about today is I think a couple key things around our own present position. First thing is, what is our level of self-awareness? Now, if you guys think of emotional intelligence, the first step of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. And here is why this is, I believe, so powerful, especially anybody in business or any kind of leadership role. Stanford school, graduate school did a study, thousands of people across business, religion, churches, arts and entertainment, media, political. They looked at all these leaders and they had the standards of who was somebody who was a effective leader, a great leader. They said, is there something in common? Is there one thing that we can do, that we can find, that we can focus on in our graduate school and our master's and PhD programs? And they looked at Steve Jobs from Apple, right? Introvert, a hard driver. He was very, very transactional. It's all about getting the work done. Across the spectrum, people that are just very mild-mannered and gregarious, just friendly. They found that there is one thing that was in common, the only thing that was in common across all these leaders, and that was self-awareness. And this is really a lot of what we've been talking about the last couple of days, because when we know ourselves and we know ourselves better, what can we do then? What's the next step of emotional intelligence? And that is self-management, self-regulation, how we show up, how we take feedback, who we spend our time with, and who we hang out with. Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit. Now, self-awareness. Let me just show you this picture. Here's a little quote from me from the book. Sometimes you have to cover your head to keep outside influences from convincing you that you should be something you're not. And I was telling this story to my coach, and it's why I included it in my book. I was a student pilot, and I'm flying along on what's called an instrument flight. And so what we had to learn, we had to be able to learn how to completely fly and operate that airplane, just like every commercial airline pilot, without any visual reference outside. So imagine you can't see anything outside because you're flying in the clouds or you're above the clouds. There's nothing visually that you can look at. So I was on a flight like this, only supposed to be flying by my instruments. And we have an instrument hood if we want to block out outside visuals. So we just focus, we actually literally fly an entire airplane with the windows blacked out. My hood was not up. It was back behind me. I was in the back seat of this airplane. But if you can look at this picture, there was a storm front coming in, and it was at an angle. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. Just like this picture, it was at an angle in the distance. So I'm flying straight and level. I'm on course and I'm on altitude. But what that picture is telling my brain is that I'm constantly turning to the right and descending. It looked to me like I was constantly going down and away from where I'm supposed to be. That is the visual cue that's coming in my brain. My instruments are telling me I'm straight and level. What happened was I slowly developed vertigo. My seat of the pants, my brain were telling me a message that was completely opposite. Thanks, Craig. Was completely opposite from what I'm looking at on the instruments. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, well, I have to correct for this. If I'm going down on the right, I got to go left and up. And I literally put in the correction to go left and up, and I'm looking at my instruments, and I see my compass start to turn and my altitude start to move, and it totally confused me. I'm like, this can't be possible because I'm putting in the right inputs. I can trust my brain. I got to be able to trust my instincts. And all of a sudden, the instructor comes on the air, comes like, Ramstead, what are you doing? And I realized, I go, sir, I think I have vertigo. Like he goes, I got the controls. He just said with disgust. He goes, I want you to sit there, and I want you to put that hood over you, and I want you to just sit down with your elbows on your knees and your head down and just focus on a point on the floor, and you let me know when you're ready to take the controls back. And I got to tell you, when it first happened, when I made that wrong correction, I literally physically tried to move the stick back to get, my altitude and course back where it was supposed to be. And I physically could not move my hand. I could not move the stick. It felt so wrong in the moment. I even remember how I had my hand on the stick and I put my other hand over on my hand to help me move. I literally still couldn't move it. That is how powerful some of those forces in our head are. And we have to understand what those are, like vertigo, in our life so that we can overcome it. Man, okay? All right. So Amy Neely says she gets messages from God in duplicate. Our word of the day in Toastmasters today was reflexivity. Am I saying that right? Reflexivity, to reflect on knowing what we believe and then what we do with that knowledge. So yeah, that's awesome. I can even put that up here, Amy. Yeah, boom, look at that. That's cool. All right. So yeah, it's about reflecting on some of these things. So how do we develop self-awareness? What does that look like for us? So there's some things that we can do. I'm a big fan of assessments. Everybody, if you have not taken the Enneagram or the DISC profile, I think both of those can really create some great illumination. And you can find free places to do those. You can do a paid one. I personally like to take it and then hire a coach to go through a session who's certified in that, like the Enneagram, and go through it with me and really give me some insights. Because when you're looking at that present position, that starting point, this can often just give us some great clues on what that looks like. Okay, what can we do next? And we're going to be talking about this. We can solicit and ask for some feedback. Okay, so let's talk about feedback. I love this picture because this is me, right? Do we want to have like that comforting, like, no, dude, you were awesome. Like, trust me, what you did, how you did it, it could have been a little bit better, but really that, great job. And here was some feedback I got once. I was in a meeting. I was at a huge technology company, and I had been promoted to be a manager. Craig Drugi's on. I was working with Craig at the time, and I was there with John Hanlon, buddy. You remember John Hanlon and Alan Cullen? So I'm sitting there in this room with all my peers, and Craig, you would know who all the other district managers were. And our team was absolutely rocking. Craig was on that team. We were setting records. We were crushing it. Matter of fact, Craig single-handedly, who's in here, was setting records. He's amazing at what he does. But John, so he's my boss's boss, pulls me aside and goes, hey, Ramstead, can I share something with you? He goes, listen, buddy, you know what? There's going to be an opening soon to be an area vice president. And I would love to promote you, but I can't. He goes, if I promoted you, all of your peers, I think they would all quit. They respect you, but they don't like you because you come across so arrogant. Because in those meetings, because what we were doing, and we were doing it well, other people would talk about their numbers or their plans, and I just felt like ours were better. Our team had better ideas. And instead of really, and I would even share some of those ideas, but what came across from those people was like this sense of disdain, arrogance, and it had damaged relationships with my peers, and I didn't even know it. And I got to tell you, folks, when you get feedback like that, man, that is hard to hear. Now, here's what made it possible for me is, you know what? I knew John's heart. He wanted the best for the organization, for his people, for his teams, for our results, and for each person individually. I knew that. This was coming from a place of encouraging and lifting people up. And I said, well, what do we do? And do you know that he started mentoring me? I don't know if you knew this, Craig. Every 2 weeks, we jump on a call just for, this is one of the literally busiest people I know. He ran the entire country for, I don't know, what is it, $400 million P&L. And thanks, Craig. I really appreciate that, buddy. And he made time every 2 weeks for me for about 20 minutes and talked and did some coaching. Think about what that meant to me. Think about those people. I don't care how busy you are. I don't know anybody literally that was busier than John. He worked 7 days a week. I don't even know if he ever even saw his family, but he made time to coach me, and he got me in a position for that promotion. Unbelievable. So here's a question about feedback for y'all. And that's this. First of all, how do you guys feel about giving feedback? A lot of us tend to liberally and readily give feedback. Okay. Where do we come from? Does our feedback come from a place of criticism? This actually got studied by McKinsey. Let me just share you something. If you have an employee or a coworker or somebody, this is not family. There's a different set of rules for family. And you don't give them 3 affirmations. Say, you've done this well. Great job, Craig, on this. Man, the way that you handled that meeting, that part of it, man, that was a masterclass. Could you teach that to the group? Can I share something with you? Here's something I really think is holding you back. It has to be a ratio of at least 3 to 1. And this is not a Gen Y, Gen Z thing, by the way. What McKinsey studied, and there's also research from Gallup, this is a human nature thing. In families, by the way, folks, want to know, like you're trying to help your kid, your teenager get better at whatever. Do you know for them to really be able to receive and process some of those maybe constructive criticism, do you know that ratio needs to be 7 to 1? Think about that, 7 to 1, okay? Now, next question. How do we give feedback? Now, how are we at receiving feedback? Somebody comes up to you and maybe shares something with you. Hey, hey, Lene, here's some feedback for you. Hey, Patty Ann, can I share something with you? Now, one of the things that I don't appreciate is like after I've been speaking and all the work that goes into it, and people just want to come up to me and give me unsolicited feedback, I really believe that they're trying to help. So what I will often do in that case is there's feedback that I know actually would be helpful. So when somebody just walks up to me who's a stranger who wants to give me unsolicited feedback, and I'll stop and I'll say, hey, you know what? I really appreciate that. I've been actually working on that with my speaking coach. But let me ask you a question. When I was sharing that part of the speech, what do you think the message was? What was the big idea? Because for me, if somebody is going to come up, I want to have a constructive conversation, but maybe get some feedback on how did it land with them? And they might share an idea that wasn't even what I intended. For me, that is fantastic feedback. Okay. Yes. Let's see. Who is this? Craig. Yes. The replay will be in this group. You can see the whole thing, buddy. You rock too. Now, here's a question for y'all. How do you react with feedback you don't agree with? Now, I told you guys yesterday when I was in the youth group, you guys can see I've gone through a lot of growth. You guys are seeing me now, and I've mellowed out a lot. But remember, my senior year in high school, my youth group leader, Bart Shepler, came up to me in front of everybody and said, Ramstead, you're such a jerk. No wonder you don't have any friends. Now, I did not agree with that because that was counter to how I wanted to be seen. It went against my innermost beliefs about myself. Okay. And I got to tell you, one of my great mentors and friends, Ford Taylor from Transformational Leadership, asks this question in every leadership workshop he does. It is now a question I ask in every leadership or any conversation like this that I do. And here is the question. Let me ask you a question. Receiving feedback, 8 out of 10. Who said Brian? Awesome. Is all means all, that's all means, is all personal feedback relevant? Now, if we were in a group, I would have you all raise your hands. If we were on Zoom, wave at me. Here's what I find. About 60% say no, and about 40% say yes. And when people say no, they typically were like, well, I don't know the person. I don't know their agenda. I don't know maybe why they came up and shared that with me, right? And we maybe all know some of those, like some of those people that are really hard, and the feedback is, it's not even really feedback, you know, some of those family members. But let me tell you this. I believe that the answer is yes, because when I'm polling a crowd and we're talking about it, here's what I hear all the time, is that feedback does not mean that I have to take it and act on it. It does not mean that I'm doing something wrong and need to change. It might. What it means is that is how that other person is experiencing it. I read a book, I can't remember her name, by the first woman executive at NBC Universal, and her first mentor was a gentleman that had been there his whole career. And what he shared with her was, listen, when you hear something once and you don't agree with it, that's okay. But if you hear it a second time, he goes, I want you to know it's something you should really think about. If you hear it a third time, that means whether you agree with it or not, that is how people are experiencing you. And then you have a choice to make. Is that okay that I want people to experience me like that? Or do I actually now need to start work and do some things to change? Okay. So what did Gary say? All feedback is relevant. It is not always true. Absolutely, Gary. That's such a great point. Okay. Patty, and after raising 5 children, I have some pretty thick skin, but I'm open to listening. You know, I got to tell you, you know, I told you guys that story, you know, about changing habits, and with my son, Michael. And, you know, it was the end of that conversation, and that I asked him for feedback. You know, that's when he shared with me, you know, he said, hey, Dad, let's see if I can get this. Here we go. He goes, Dad, he goes, can I share something with you? He goes, I hate when you come up and demand things of me. Like, you hate that yourself. I'm like, you know what? You're right. How would you like me? He goes, man, it would be great if you just came up to me and said, hey, this needs to be done. When can you do it? Because I'm willing to do it. You know, I help out. And he goes, you know, and when I do it, you know, I always do my best work. He does. He takes pride in everything that he does. And I had not acknowledged that by just demanding that he goes and mows the lawn. So sometimes asking for feedback. Now, when we do that, you really have to be in listen mode. I think you have to prepare yourself, because what if you ask for feedback and now somebody maybe unloads something that you really didn't like, you didn't want to hear, you don't even have time to process it right now. My habit, I'm going to talk a little bit more about habits, in the past has been to just move into debate, justification. Yeah, okay, I get that, but you don't know all the stuff that's on my plate, and I'm so busy, and I didn't sleep, and I have COVID, and whatever, right? They don't want to, you just ask for their input. Oh, wow. So if we were, I have to buy you guys all lunch if we were together. I'll let my phone ring. That is always our rule. Okay. So think about feedback. How do you receive it? Can you then, you know, go to people you really trust? And like I said before, like my buddy CJ, who's on here, when we do speaking or we're looking at things that we've written, we actually go to each other and ask for very specific feedback that's going to help me, not just, hey, what do you think? Okay. All right. Michael has wisdom and potential as a teacher. You know what, Lynn? He does. Actually, all my boys are incredible. I don't know. I think John's on here today. So let's talk about this. This is the next area, I think, of self-awareness. And that is this. Okay. The power of association. When I first got out of the Navy, my first mentor, a guy named Jimmy Head, told me the person that you're going to be in 5 years, John, I'm getting out of the military, right? And he into business, and I didn't know anything about business. He goes, man, and he knew some of my self-image problems, and business intimidated me. I'm telling you, I got out of the military and I was scared in a corporate setting, like literally heart pounding, sweating. I would rather land on an aircraft carrier at night than go do a sales pitch. I'm like throwing up in the back of my throat, literally in a meeting. Like I'm telling you guys, I was an absolute train wreck. One of the things though he shared with me as he learned this was, hey, the person you're going to be in 5 years is what you read. You got to reprogram what's in your brain. The first book he handed me was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he challenged me to start reading 10 pages a day before I went to sleep. And all these books behind me and so many more, 1,000 I have read. I've been reading now every day. I read 2 or 3 books a month still to this day, constantly. Okay. The other thing is, he said, John, it's your power of association. It's who you're spending time with. And these are the questions that he asked me, because this is way back when, but this is how I thought about it, right? Those people I spend time with, they influence me whether I realize it or not. Maybe I want to be entrepreneurial and everybody else has a job. Not saying there's anything wrong with the job, but that's the direction I want to move into. It's a whole different skill set. And they're kind of like just little subtle comments like, oh, why would you do that, man? You have amazing benefits. Right? Why would you give up a paycheck and go, yeah, you could make it big. But, sometimes it's honestly those subtle little comments from friends for me that have slowed me down more than anything. So I never wanted to get rid of my friends. They're my friends. Some of my closest friends, we've been around 25, 30 years. So here's a question. Just ask yourself, those folks that you do spend time with, what do they talk about? They talk about the latest political news. They talk about the weather. They talk about their purpose. They talk about how to have an amazing family. What do they talk about? What is their attitude toward life? What is their attitude toward success and failure? Hey, what's their attitude about money? One of the most amazing people I know, who's an absolute kingdom warrior, his gifting is making money. And it always has been. When people talk about his passion, he'll tell you his passion is to make money. And he knows in certain circles that statement right there will be judged. He said that once in front of his pastor in a Bible study, and the pastor said, Mike, thank you for sharing that. Because do you know that in that, and also God's given the skills to do it, do you know this guy, his whole life from when he was in college, has given away 10% of his income even when he could not afford it? Do you know that today he supports some of the biggest charities in this town? I won't say his name, but he gives over $400,000 a year away out of his own pocket to support some amazing charities. They would not survive with what he's doing. Thank goodness he followed this passion to build businesses, make money, employ thousands now. He's younger than me. And not only is he been generous, but he's brought that entire spirit of generosity into his company. He does matching for his employees if they give. It's amazing. Okay. Right. I'm terrified of making money. Yeah. We have these attitudes about money. That could be a whole nother session, but think about it, man. I just love this, right? I think money and what you make is just a yardstick of how much value you have delivered to other people. And I think here's something else, is money, influence, and power amplifies our character. Remember we talked about yesterday, character. You reap a character, you sow a destiny. Think about this. When you work on yourself and you have people around you that are going to, think about this. Are your friends holding themselves to a high standard, and are they holding you to a high standard? So the reason that I don't have let's just say all of a sudden we blow up and we're making tons of money. I know I have men and women in my life that are going to make sure that what we do with our money, how we spend it, how we use it is absolutely, it's going to amplify the work that we're doing, allow us to give more, get debt free, and do it in a way that's completely in alignment with my absolute core principles, which I think you guys know what they are, right? So think about that. You work on who you are, right? You become that better version of yourself, and you say, hey, if I amplify this, you know what? This could be pretty cool. How about that? So just look at those folks around you and say, okay, can I find 1 or 2 new people to bring into my circle of influence? Have regular conversations with. Maybe it's joining a mastermind group on how to do that. Right? I have found some amazing like-minded friends, like some people that are on this call right now that I met through Heroic Public Speaking, that have become lifelong friends because we think alike. Okay. So here, I want to share something with you. And this is coming out, right? So, well, before we jump into this next part, I just want to see master money or money will master me. I'll be right. And you know what? There's a lot around money and Dave Ramsey, whether you love him or not. There's stuff out from Liberty University, Dennis Prager at PragerU. There's so many things that I think you can go and educate yourself on what the Bible says about money. What is our relationship to money? Right? It can't be our master. We're also told when we're giving something, right? The shekel, we got to double it, triple it, times it by 10, not bury it. I mean, but there's a lot to think about. I think it's something if you struggle with, just get clear. Go find some folks. Carrie says, I have some amazing friends which have given great positive feedback, right? And Patty Ann said, yeah, God said much is given, much is required. And I agree. I think the more you're given, the more you have a responsibility, I think, to even serve more fully. I really do. Okay. So you guys can just throw this in the comments if anybody has just any questions from today, right? Present position. We talked a little bit yesterday about habits. Habits are really important. Your self-awareness, who we're spending time with. Go find a mentor. What I found with mentors is, it's funny, everybody who has had success, people that you're looking at. I remember my wife was actually at a conference and Rachel Hollis was there, Girl Wash Your Face. She wrote a best-selling book, right? Huge, blew up. Some of you guys might know who she is and some don't. And she's an amazing lady. But do you know that her book, Girl Wash Your Face, that blew up and became a bestseller? I did not know this. It was her 12th book. Her first book, like this is my first book coming up right here. Her first book that never even sold 1,000 copies. Okay. And she said, listen, man, it took me 14 years to become an overnight success. She put in the work and she shared her whole journey. Her successes, did launches where not crickets, not even a person showed up. She had people help her all along the way. And she says, you wouldn't believe how few people come up to me and say, could you mentor me? Can I spend time with you? Now her platform's grown so big to spend time with her. You kind of have to be like in a VIP behind the scenes or in a mastermind group just because her tribe has grown so big. But during that process, here's what I found is literally 9 out of 10 people I've reached out to get to know, to spend time with, to be mentored by, have said yes. A few notable people that have said no, which I understand, John Maxwell, Michael Hyatt, and it's just because their platform is so big, it takes time. And I would have to invest a lot of time and probably money and training to be able to spend time with other people that are willing to do that. So I get it. But I love John Maxwell. He was actually my pastor back in 1995 in San Diego. So that's a whole nother story. Okay. Somebody said, hey, my fear of money has kept me at a low income, struggling, right? So hey, you know what? Let's learn about it. Maybe that's one of your first missions. Hey, let's just learn about my relationship to money and what is behind that fear. There's a reason it exists. Something happened somewhere. Something was said to you. I'll guarantee you it is identifiable. And then you can start to sort it out and get some truth on it and some clarity on it that's going to just help you, buddy. Okay? Now, this is exciting. This book, man, this was so fun to write. And yeah, Penny and Jim Rohn would be awesome to hang out with. So here's what I want to show you guys. Thank you for being part of this, doing this live challenge every day. Tomorrow, the topic is going to be convergence. We're going to talk about, how everything we've talked about, how do we actually put it all together in a way that actually makes sense? So tomorrow's going to be awesome. All right. So today, you're welcome, Jenny. Here's what I want to share with you guys is this book. So excited. What's today? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 5 days. I mean, 5 days. And this book goes live on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million. My publishers tell me a whole bunch of independent booksellers are picking it up. It's going to be out there. All right. I have a dream that's been birthed in my heart since I started writing this. I honestly believe I co-wrote this as I partnered with the Father in this incredible journey. All my work in really in both the secular and the church world, I've done so much work, and I see it all integrated and blended together. And this is just an accelerator for the purpose that I have and the work that I want to do. It's on my heart. And as you guys can tell, like what I'm doing right now with you in this group, man, I am on purpose, with purpose. And that is to equip and inspire and encourage you individually in any way that I can to actually accomplish what's been inspired in you. And then oftentimes it's actually first to discover what has been inspired in you and get that clarity. Okay, so here's the deal. Right now, if you guys just pre-order the book, if you haven't already, just go to, and sorry, I should have made that like on one line. I forgot to shrink the font there, but it's beyondinfluence.com/book. And here's what I would love for you guys to do. Pre-order the book. And on Tuesday, if you guys could mark it on your calendar, go to wherever you bought the book. Let's just say Amazon, and find a way, because it's hidden on the page. I wish I could give you a direct link to just, here's where you go to write a review, but you have to either scroll to the bottom or click the reviews at the top and get there. Leave a review, and then we're going to have a button on beyondinfluence.com where you can come back and just put in your name and the date and time you left that review. And then what we're going to do is we're going to send you, our team. I'm currently working on my audiobook. It's in production. I don't know whether it's going to be 1 or 2 months, but some of these things take a while. But as soon as that's done, before it even goes on Amazon for sale, it's going to be for sale on Amazon. We were told for $23.99. I'm just going to send it to you. I know a lot of you want the audio. I'm also going to send you my Core Values mini course. You're just going to get that sent to you. It's a series of emails. And then also we've had so many, we've read it. We've had so many teams reach out, both in large companies and small ministries are reading and families. There's a family on here that's doing it, is reading this together as a team. So we have put together a reading plan that you can use just as an individual and team to help you walk through that. Now, how we've done that as a team, and I do this with my clients, hey, find a book, this book, and then read the next book, but have a reading plan, a daily reading plan, and then your whole team shows up on it. Let's say your team meeting, ours is on Tuesday morning at 9, and you talk about what you learned and how you're going to apply it over the last week. And here's a kind of a pro tip here for you. Each week, have somebody else lead the conversation. You're giving them incredible opportunities to lead the conversation, facilitate, ask questions, and they also have to prepare, and it's just really powerful. So if you guys can go to beyondinfluence.com/book. All right, Tim or Tom. Yeah, I'm so glad you got on too, buddy. Kim and Chris are amazing. Okay. Janet, how do you find mastermind groups? Okay, we can definitely talk about that. We're going to be launching some out of here next month. Some of you have actually already reached out to me to ask about what that looks like. We might, what I'm actually thinking is there's just enough interest that, because it wasn't really a goal of this at all. If we have enough interest, maybe we can even start one early. So if anybody out there is listening or watching this right now and you would be interested in being in a mastermind group, let me know. And I've run a number of mastermind groups in the past. I love them. There's a number of people in here that have been in my mastermind group. So if that's something you might be interested in, just shoot me an email or a direct message on Facebook, and we can get back to you. Okay. Let's see here. Next slide. This is something I never have done before. Let me walk you through what's on the screen right here. Okay. Now this. I want that one. There we go. Here's what I'm doing. This is a bulk order, and it is an exclusive, and it's just for the challenge. And I just want to share this with you. When somebody hires me to come in, I've been doing a number of these during COVID, to come in for an hour with their team, and I'll work with the business owner. And what we do is we get a specific topic. It could be on purpose. It could be on team communication or whatever. But when I come into a company for an hour, I charge about $750. If you're going to come in for 2 hours and do kind of a small, a master class with a whole team, it's $1,500. This is what I charge my clients. If I'm going to come in and do a half-day workshop facilitate an offsite, do leadership training for all of your new managers over a 3-4 hour period. It's $3,500. And I'll just tell you, based on the industry, I think these numbers are at the low end of the range that of a lot of my peers. A full day, my day rate is $7,000. Right? I know that that's at the low end. Here's what I'm doing, and I'm doing it just for the launch. If you buy 25 books, the cost of 25 books is $425. That is all you're going to pay. So you might already have it in your budget. I have a company that they had in their budget for an outside speaker to come into their company. Their budget was significantly more than just for the hour, the $750. And I said, well, this is what we're offering right now. Why don't we do this? He bought 25 books. He paid $424. That's a 43% discount. So if you already have a budget, or you know anybody, and I'm just asking you guys help, if you know people that have companies with 20, 50, 100, 500 employees, man, let them know about this, because I'll tell you what, this is a huge value, because they probably already have this in their budget to either maybe bring in somebody around leadership and what I talk on for a half day, a full day workshop, a master class, 50 books, right? It's $849 plus the shipping and happening. If a company bought 50 books, maybe for their employees, I have a nonprofit that's going to buy that many. Somebody underwrote it. It's really cool. They're going to give it to all their donors. But, they saved, and I'm going to come in and do a 2-hour masterclass. What they're going to set this up as a benefit to all their donors, to have me come in over a luncheon. We're going to meet together. I think there's going to be about 50 people there. It's going to be awesome. Everybody's going to get a book. And look at the cost of that. 100 books. Just the cost of the 100 books, if you bought them at $16.99, you would save $17.98. That's a 50% discount. I have never, ever discounted my fees like this. My goal is to honestly get the book out there, and just based on all the stories I'm hearing here, I would absolutely just love to have an impact on more and more people. Okay. So if you guys just we stayed up late last night, and we made a beyondinfluence.com/exclusive. You can even take that link and forward it to a friend, somebody in business, somebody that would be interested in this, the leader of a company, the head of a sales group, an operations group, HR, because right there's all the information on these packages and actually how to buy them right there in one spot. Just go to beyondinfluence.com/exclusive, and they'll be all set. Next one is this, and this is going to be exciting because we're going to do some really fun stuff, and that is this, a launch party. We're having a launch party. You guys can join me live next Tuesday, the 27th. The book will have come out. Everybody out there, and everybody's actually still on, looking at the live numbers here. Our goal, number one goal with this book launch, in addition to selling books, is to get to 100 reviews on Amazon. When we cross 100 review threshold, all of a sudden their algorithms take over, and all of a sudden they're going to start promoting the book for me. I would honestly love to use Amazon's might against them to the benefit of all of us. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. You guys are going to be all the people that are part of the launch team are going to be getting a Zoom link. I will also in the challenge group here in Facebook. If you're not on the launch team, I will be posting the Zoom link in here also. And my buddy Roy Clark, do you remember the story I told you guys about the guy that we were coaching? He said, "No, today's all about you." Cleared the whiteboard and sat me down for 2 hours. Well, that was my buddy Roy. He's going to be my MC. We're going to have a blast, and we're going to share. We're going to give away a whole bunch of stuff. Some of my favorite things. You'll get to find out what those are next week. We're going to sign your book and send it out. You guys can submit questions. We're going to have a Q&A with me about anything. You guys think of anything that's come up. Roy Clark, can't wait. Hey, Roy, my boy Roy is on. Roy in the house. Guys, Roy is awesome, by the way. I can't wait for you to meet him. Matter of fact, I've gotten to know you guys. If we could all get together in one room, it would be like the most epic backyard barbecue ever. Except I would love to find a backyard that is on the ocean. That would make it Epicer. No, that's not a word. Okay, so here's what else we're going to do. I'm also going to have a drawing. I'm going to just give away a free 1-hour masterclass. If you win it and it's just you individually, it can be a 1-hour coaching session. If you're part of a team and you want me to come in and we'll do a masterclass with your entire team. If you have a nonprofit that you love and you want me to just come in and do an hour masterclass, and I do a lot of these for your nonprofit. We do work with an alternatives pregnancy center, Colorado Uplift that's working with inner city kids, a scholarship that's working with inner city kids, and Hope House is a place, just because of the situation we're in, that works with teenage unwed moms. And I just also want you guys to know is Don and I are taking 10% of the proceeds of everything from this book, and it's going to those charities. Just want you to know that. That is just something that is who we are and what we do. We don't really promote it once. But I wanted to share with you guys. You're part of helping us to, give even more. Okay. All right. So with that, folks, it has been a awesome day. Thank you guys so much. Let me just go back here and just reiterate. If you guys would pre-order and write a review, gratitude, #gratitude. Absolutely. You just go to beyondinfluence.com/book, pre-order that book if you haven't already. And you know what else you could do is tell a friend. Take that link, maybe post it on your Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn. And if you could, a whole bunch of you guys have done that. It's just raised awareness. It's been amazing. Pre-order that book, because then also when you write the review, you can write the review as, what do they call it? Verified purchaser, which Amazon gives more weight to. Okay. How do I write a review if I have not read the book? Your resources help me. So Belinda, let's see. Donna's actually driving my grandson to an appointment. Here, I'm just going to put it in here. Here's the comment. So Belinda, what you can do, and anybody else not part of the launch team, I'm going to put the link. No, colon, not semicolon. In the chat right now. This is all the resources we created for the book launch team. I just put it in the chat, Belinda. If you click on that link, it gives you a page with all the resources about everything about the book, how to spread the word, social media posts. If you scroll to the bottom of that page, or there's also a button at the top that just says join launch team. It brings you to the bottom, and right there you can click a button that says join the launch team. When you do that, you're going to be sent the resources you need, the e-version copy of the book and things, so that you actually can go then buy the book and write the review. Okay. We're just doing that because we just trust people that are part of the community not to just take the free book, but actually go buy a book with, just everything we're doing. So there you go, my friend. That should help you. Let's see here. Luke Levine, what did you say? You said content covered in the 5-day challenge is in the book. That's true. You can also review the sessions and appropriate. So, and there's so much more in the book. I mean, I can't go through everything this is in this entire book, and some live sessions here on Facebook, but it's in there. So listen, guys, it is the top of the hour. Just to summarize, please pre-order a book. And I'm telling you, anybody that has anybody come in to work with their teams, do training or speaking, if you understood these numbers, honestly, this is the craziest discount I've ever done. This is like underneath my comfort zone. But you know what? We're on mission, right? We're on purpose. We want to help literally millions of people. I believe this is how we start doing it. So anybody or for yourself, if you want to take advantage of this, just go to that link, choose your option if you're going to buy the books anyway, and then we're going to throw in some awesome stuff. And I got to tell you, for every single person, we've got a number of people already ordered these packages. I'll just tell you this, because you guys know me, I've already done way more than even what they wanted here in each one of these packages. So trust me, we will take care of everybody. Homework today. Okay, yes, Lene, thank you. So your homework today is pre-order the book. And your other homework is, let's think about this. If you look at today, I think one of the most important things that we can do is that is self-awareness. Some of that comes from feedback. And I would just maybe ask yourself a very simple question, back to some of you guys were answering in the chat, is how good are you at receiving feedback? It's a very simple question. It doesn't even need a long, elaborate answer, because you know what? If I say, you know what, honestly, I'm about a 5. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then just ask yourself what a +1 looks like. What would it mean, and what would it look like for me if I just went up a +1, that I could give feedback better, right, and receive feedback? Okay, so there you go. That is our day, and then I'll stay on if there's any questions. I was trying to keep an eye on the chat, but we are done. But actually, today I have a broadcast crew actually waiting for me right now to go do a live interview, which I'm excited about. So let me just do this then as we wrap up. Does anybody have any question? If you have a question, just post it right there in the top of the chat. We can grab it. Other than that, we are going to wrap up for the day. It has been awesome being with you. Thank you for letting me share and tell you some of my stories. And man, I tell you what, man, keep taking those small steps forward. I'm having an absolute blast watching you guys make those small steps forward. And I'm seeing the lights go off, and I'm seeing people like the joy come out. And I'm seeing, even if you're just stuck in this place of just ambiguity, fear, and uncertainty, where I have absolutely been, I'm seeing people start to see with hope the possibility of a better tomorrow, of a better next month, and a better next year. And sometimes, honestly, guys, that's all I had, and that's all it takes to have the courage, which is what? Moving forward in the presence of fear, to take that next step, and then that next step. And we tend to, this is what Tony Robbins, I heard him say this, man, but it stuck with me. We completely overestimate what we can do in a year, but we completely underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. My accident was almost 10 years ago, 9.5 years ago. I never, honestly, when I was starting this journey, ever expected that I could be sitting here with such an amazing group of people, men and women, world changers, people who want to be great husbands and fathers and wives and mothers and what they want to do in the world. And they're just, and sometimes that, like my wife's purpose the last 25 years has been to be a mom and now a grandma. I think it's one of the most brilliant and wonderful purposes, callings ever, right? It's not to go start a nonprofit and conquer poverty in India. Maybe that's next. I have no idea. But what she is doing right now is what she is meant to do. And it's beautiful. All right. So let's not compare our dreams to anybody else's. Let's just continue to compete with the best version of ourselves and take small steps. And I'm telling you, it's going to move you towards something that is beautiful. All right, folks, you are amazing. I love being here. I'd rather hang out here, but I got to go do an interview about the book, which is also kind of exciting because I get to go serve and help people. So, all right, with that, you guys rock. You are awesome. Thank you. Just remember those links, beyondinfluence.com/book and beyondinfluence.com/exclusive. Check both those out. And look forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning. And we're going to rock into this. Anybody that's part of the book launch team, we are going to do the Circle of Champions tonight. I've been sending out a lot of emails, so apologize for that. But you know what? It's creating some awesome engagement. All right, Kim, thank you for the stories. What do you put up? So thanks for the stories, encouragement, inspiration. God-sized dream in my 60s. Afterlife as a ma, a grandma, and a missionary. Oh, Kim. Well, I can't wait to hear more about that. That's exciting stuff, and I'll guarantee you that is going to encourage other people. So with that, that is the perfect note to launch us out of here. Is Kim sharing about how fired up she is because she's got a God-sized dream in her 60s after all these other roles and things that she's already done in her life, and she's just building into what's next. So that is awesome. Thank you, Kim. All right, my friends. Fantastic day. See you in the morning.